My name is Carla Nivert and I am extremely passionate about pregnancy, birth and babies and helping you to find your way through and embrace both the messy and magical things on this extraordinary journey of bringing your precious baby into this world. I'm a small town mama who has taken a leap and become a certified birth educator and have a very deep desire to help as many mothers as I can around the world. I want you to feel ready, confident and excited to go into labor so you can have your best chance at a smooth, calm and a beautiful natural birth. So please get comfy and ready to learn all you need to know to feel prepared and informed about your pregnancy, birth and easing into breastfeeding with confidence. We won't shy away from the real talk. This is the Birth Serenity Podcast. Marilee, thank you so much for coming on to the Birth Serenity Podcast and for sharing your story with us. So Talia's birth, it ended up being not only a VBAC, but she was a breech baby and you birthed her in the car on the way to the hospital. So most mothers will try and avoid all of the above and you ended up having all of it in one birth.
Yes.
And I think looking back in hindsight, you would still not want it any other way.
Yes, you are right.
I know. If you achieve that, I mean, you are so happy and grateful that you're just, yes, you don't care how it ended up. So I think before we get to the good part and this wonderful birth story of Talia, I think I first want to ask you about Ansule's birth, your firstborn. So she was what you feel was an unnecessary C-section. So
Yes.
I want you to walk us through that birth. What happened there and why do you feel it was unnecessary? And also your preparation for that birth. How was that different from preparing for Ansule's birth? Or for Talia's birth, sorry.
Okay, no problem. So for Ansule, I didn't know anything. Now, in hindsight, I didn't really know anything. Didn't have a very healthy pregnancy. The main reason being that my care provider put me on a medication for nausea in the beginning stages of my pregnancy, and that gave me a side effect of depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, and basically I couldn't even bath myself. But nobody knew that it was that medication that was doing that to me. And I continued, and she sent me to a psychiatrist or psychologist, the one that gives you the pills. And she gave me antidepressants, anxiety medication, sleep medication, everything like that in my pregnancy. I didn't drink the sleeping medication and I rarely drank the anxiety meds, but I did start with the antidepressants. I didn't know any better, I just felt that I didn't want to live anymore. So I had to do something.
And you trust the experts, right?
Yes. And the interesting thing was I told that psychiatrist that I am on that medication, and not once did she question that, and say, but listen here, one of the side effects might be what you are experiencing. So I found this out years later when I took the same medication for something else and the same feeling came over me within 15 minutes. And that was God showing me, listen here, you are not prone to depression during pregnancy. They lied to you. You had a side effect of something that could have been avoided. So that pregnancy, I picked up 34 kilos. I didn't feel very good. I just went through the motions, like, you would say. And yes, my baby, Ansule, presented breech from the beginning. And near the end, my gynae said, no, she would have to do a C-section because it's a very high risk to birth a breech. And I believed her because of all the things I've seen my whole life. All the scary stories.
You've been conditioned to think about birth.
Yes, the movies and everything. So I just thought, okay, that I was shattered, but I didn't even question that. I didn't even go and research to see whether I could actually birth her. And I think also part of it was the fact that my emotional well-being wasn't tip-top shape. That's why I didn't have that fighting spirit. So I went for the C-section at 38 weeks. And yes, it wasn't very nice. It wasn't a horrible experience per se, but looking back, when I started preparing for Talia's birth, I actually saw that there were so many things done that is questionable. And for instance, they took her, like they always do, they took her away so that they can finish me up. With Daddy, obviously she went. And I, later on in the recovery room, I was thinking, like, why are you not putting me in the room now? I am fine. Please, roll me out. But, it felt like hours I was lying there. It wasn't hours, but yes, I did miss my first golden hour with Ansoleil. I missed it.
Your instincts and your hormones then screamed for your baby to be with you.
Yes, and I got to the room, and then the lactation consultant actually came in, and she said to me, "But where's your baby?" And I said, "Please go and find my baby, because I've been lying here now for almost 15 minutes, and where's my baby? I need my baby now." And then, Ansoleil never cried when she was born. Not once did she cry. She just made a little moan sound. And then I heard a baby cry in the hallway, and I said to her, "There's my baby." And she was like, "Let me see." And I didn't hear her cry before that, and I still knew that was my baby, even though there were many babies crying, but I could hear her. And she looked out of the door and she saw, oh yeah, they are on their way with her. So she was crying, and they brought her so that she could latch and all of those things. But the first, I would say, a month or so is a big blur, because I had so much pain. My morphine pump, it got depleted at about 3:30 or 4 o'clock that day. And I said to the nurses, "Listen, there's no more in here." And they said, "No, there's no way. It never, it always, it never gets up, it's always, there's more than enough." And I said, "But listen, look here, there's nothing in here." And they didn't believe me. So I lay there without any of that. And by 8 o'clock, when the night staff came in, he came to my bed, and I said to him, "Listen, my morphine, there's nothing in here." And by then I was raging with pain. I was feeling horrible. And he said to me, "Yeah, no, this thing is kaput." So, yeah, and it was just like the one nurse actually brought me someone else's pump that was discharged. She showed me, "Yeah, look here, there's still a lot left. You see, this is how much there will be left when you go." And I said, "But look here, there's nothing. If I press it, there's no..." Yeah, so, and from there on, I could never get pain-free. So the recovery of my C-section was horrible. I really didn't want to actually ever want another baby, to be honest with you. I thought that I don't want to go through the pregnancy part again. If I thought about being pregnant, I cried. And I didn't want to go through the pain after the C-section either. And so the Lord came and he showed me, "Listen, but the depression wasn't you. It was something that was done to you." All of these things, these revelations, were showed to me throughout the years. And then about 5 years, almost 5 years later, I got pregnant with little Talia. And obviously my mindset was much, much different this time around. And it was in lockdown. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, when you just said that you felt that you never want to be pregnant again, I've seen that from so many mothers in the past now who I've supported during their labors and in the birth room. And I knew, but standing there, so I was supporting them as a birth photographer, and I overheard that the doctors, what they were telling the mothers, and I knew that the doctors were lying to them, but obviously I'm not in a position to say anything then. And many of those mothers to this day, they still, and that's like 5-6 years ago, they still haven't tried for a second baby yet. Now I'm not saying they have to have a second child, but I can't help to think, why.
Exactly.
So it's this birth trauma that so many mothers have to deal with every day.
Yes. And there's also many moms that they don't know that they have birth trauma. They think that they actually believe. Yeah, they believe that their child would have died if it went differently because of the lies that they are being fed, or they would have not been, the baby would have been stuck, or all of those type of lies. Something that I would have also believed if I didn't go through the preparation I went through with Talia. Yes. As I went through that, I actually had to work through more trauma than I thought I had, because of the fact that there were so many lies that I was believing. And so for many years, I thought, my baby would have not made it if I had to birth her naturally, and things like that, or my body wouldn't have been able to do it, which is also a lie, like we know now.
And looking back at all the wrong that's not only been done to you, but also to your baby. I mean, I don't even know if you were informed about things like delayed cord clamping.
No, I actually, I asked them about that, yes, and they said, yes, they do that. And I think her cord was on for maybe 2 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, if that is. And so I felt cheated a bit, looking in hindsight at what I was expecting of the C-section also, and how it actually went. And I lost a lot of blood. Like, they almost gave me some blood as well. And that's part of why I felt like I did. So, no, in hindsight, a lot of things to work through.
Yes. Okay, so let's go to the good part now. Talia's birth. Okay, so you say that you found out you were pregnant in lockdown. So you were at home, you were, I don't know, I know that a lot of people were really worked up and stressed during lockdown, but for me it was also a time to really just reflect and be with my kids, and I really enjoyed that level 5 lockdown a lot.
Yes.
So, okay, so you were at home, you found out you were pregnant, now you had the time to prepare, and you were determined to have a natural birth this time. So,
yes.
How did your preparation look?
Okay, so I didn't once think that I would do home birth at all. Actually, I wasn't as prepared as I am now, and so I was going to go to a different gynecologist. So I thought this would be different. So I went to someone else in a different town also. Because my husband works close to her, and it just made sense that if I were to give birth, then he would be able to visit me after work hours, close to his work. And we are living in VBAC West at this stage, so it's far from everything. So we had to, make plans and see where the best birthing hospital would be. And then I went to her for the first scan. And also it was quite late. I waited a bit, because I wasn't at all worried about this baby's health. I knew she would, or he, we didn't know what would be fine. And so I went to her, and I mentioned to her that I would really like to birth naturally. And she said the following. She said, yes, that is possible, but you would have to go into labor by yourself. Not after 38 weeks, and we don't do inductions. And I was like, okay, so my chances are like 0.2%. And I just looked at her like, I thought she was joking for a second, and I thought, okay, well, this doesn't sound very good. Maybe I should look for a different gynae, but I left it there. And not long after that, I saw I saw a post of a friend of mine, and I saw her, she birthed at home during lockdown. I saw this beautiful picture of her with a baby and her husband saying, you said you would and you did it. And this person is not somebody that I would think would do such a thing, okay? And my radar went like, ping, what is this? And I immediately WhatsApped her and I said, listen, what happened here? And she told me a story. She was also booked to birth at the hospital. Her first baby was also an emergency C-section because of all the interventions, Baby went into distress because of all the interventions. And she wanted to have a VBAC, but she couldn't take a doula with her anymore when this lockdown things happened. And she decided, but she saw that they are going to give her an unnecessary C-section again. She was just... the way the gynecologist spoke to her was abusive also. And then she, at the last minute, she got this midwife. And this midwife said, I don't normally do this last minute because I like to build a relationship and walk with you the whole pregnancy. But the circumstances is different, so I will help you. And she birthed the baby at home within 7 hours, and yes. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm going to just speak to this midwife and hear what she has to say. And the rest is history.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she then helped you prepare for Talia's birth, right? So she
Yes.
did
She
all the
first
anti.
said she wants to meet me. She first needs to see whether I'm a good candidate, which I like because not all moms are prepared to put in the work. It takes work to have a natural birth. You need to do a bit extra to have a good chance to have a good natural birth. It's good to be healthy. It's good to be as fit as you can. You don't have to be like a marathon runner or something like that. But my midwife, everyone is different, but she does it this way. She says that you need to walk a lot. She says 5 kilometers a day. I didn't get to that, but I tried as much as possible. And that, I mean, I picked up 11 kgs with this pregnancy. When I got out of the hospital, I only had 7 or 8 to lose. It was a total different ballgame. The way I eat changed because she said you have to eat healthy. She gave me all of these things that would up my chances for a very good VBAC. And she said I'm a very good candidate because of the fact that the only reason for the C-section was the fact that the baby was breech. It wasn't anything else. I was healthy, my blood pressure, everything was good. So, but I did what she said because I really wanted this. And I knew that we aren't close to hospitals, so I didn't really want to transfer. If I could not transfer, it would be great. So I did what she said, like a good girl.
Yeah, that's the thing that mothers think, my body will know what it should do, so I'm just going to go into labor. But what they don't realize is that I almost want to call it our God-given innocence to birth naturally has been robbed from us. It's been taken away from us through centuries of conditioning that, this is the horrendous thing that you're going to ever have to go through. It's so scary, so painful. So that's why if you don't prepare for this, if you want a natural birth but you're not prepared to prepare for it, then your chances are really slim of having it.
Yes, and that you are spot on. And also preparing mentally is the most important part of it all. You need to know how birth works. You need to know, even though you haven't been through it ever, I mean, there's always a first time. You have to go through it the first time. This is not something that you can, you need to experience it. Yeah, you have to go and know this is what's happening. And if it wasn't for my mental preparation, getting the facts and knowing what I'm doing, or knowing what's happening is normal, and the feelings I'm feeling is normal, I would have really stressed, and I would have maybe said no, let's transfer earlier. The moment that my midwife said that we need to transfer because the birth was taking long, we'll get to that now, I still didn't want to. I think many moms would go, yes, now I can get something for the pain. But I still didn't want to. But I obviously did what she said because I trusted her with the birth. So, yeah.
With my first, I remember at one time, and looking back now, I realized that was during transition. I said to my midwife that I cannot do this anymore. Honestly, please just help me. Please just help me. I can't do this. And she said to me, just reach down and you can feel your baby's head crowning. And the moment I did that, it was like 30 seconds later and she was born. It's just that mental shift, just that knowing that, okay, this is actually working, it's happening, and I can do this. I am doing this.
I'm getting goosebumps. I remember that moment I realized she is now coming out.
Wonderful.
And yes, yeah.
Okay, so amazing. Tell us about Talia's birth. Walk through that day with us.
Okay, so I got the notes 2 days ago, the notes the midwife made. And it almost, I had a little bit of a moment where I cried a bit because it was like reliving it in a sense, because I can't remember most of it. The hormones make you so in your own bubble and so high that the 18 hours felt like 6 hours.
That's how nature protects us.
Yes,
that's how it's supposed to be.
Yes, so my water broke at 12:30 at night. I was just falling asleep, just at beginning stages of sleep. I was nesting, and that's why I got in bed so late. I went for a nice brisk walk also that evening. My husband was still braaiing, and Ansule and I, my first daughter, we walked, and I walked so fast, and I remember Ansule ran in front of us, and me and Talia now, and I said to Talia, I still didn't know whether she was a boy or a girl, so I said, baby, I'm ready for you now. You can come now. I have everything I need, and you have milkies. Everything is here. You may come. And yeah, she took that literally, you know. I was basically looking back. I was about 39 weeks, but we thought it was 38. But we worked it out a bit differently because my cycles are longer. But 39 weeks basically is where we were, between 38 and 39. And at 12:30, my water broke with a gush in bed. Luckily, we have a mattress protector. And I woke my husband up. I'm like, and Ansule was still also sleeping in our bed. And I said, listen, my water broke. And he got a fright because he only got in bed then. He was working 2 jobs online. And he was thinking, oh no, I didn't do the preparation I needed to. I sent him all of these things to prepare. But yeah, you know, don't always get to everything. And I got up and I was so excited. I went to sit on the toilet so that some of it can, you know, still come out. And I said to him, go and fetch one of the what do you call it? Cloth nappies. I have the flats. Go and fetch one of them, you know, so that I can just put it in here because it's going to leak now. And he took a photo of me on the toilet going like, yay.
It's happening.
And yeah, it's happening. And about an hour later, we let the midwife know because she's in Hermanus, so it's quite a drive. And I just started going into a little bubble quite soon, I would say. Looking in hindsight, I think if I'm blessed with another baby, I would go about my things for longer because I went into this bubble and focused on the breathing and everything very, very soon. And I think that might have also, slowed things down a bit. I think I needed to just go down and watch some friends. Or, I wouldn't have been able to sleep. I was too excited. But I think I should have done something just to get my mind off it a bit. But anyways, I did that. And then eventually at about, it was early morning, the midwife and her team, they all arrived and they set up the birthing pool. And I got in there, and then looking back at notes, she said the baby's heart rate actually went a little bit up, and she said maybe it's the warm water, but I got out again, and, I just did my thing. Baby and I were fine, but there was moments where she said, listen, but I don't know why, I can't hear the heart where it's supposed to be, and she said to me, is baby kicking up on the top? I'm like, I don't feel it a lot, but I think it's because the back of the baby is lying towards my belly. And, I don't feel the kicks so much there, but I can feel the hiccups down below. And even the night before, I let my husband feel. And I said, listen, baby is hiccuping again. Feel here. It's down below, right? He's like, yes, no, that's definitely low. So there were moments where I thought during my pregnancy, is this baby really, really head down? Yeah. And two midwives at one stage felt and said, no, she was a bit puzzled. She said, but what is this here at the top? Moving it around. And the other midwife felt, and she said, no, this must be the, and she pressed on it, and she said, no, the whole baby is moving, so it must be the bum. No, it's the bum, And
they
luckily,
were pressing her head.
So if we knew that it's the bum, then everything would have worked out differently. They wouldn't have. My midwife would have said no. She can't do the birth for me because of all the rules. My final scan was for the 7th of December, and baby Talia was born on the 6th. So we missed it by a day, and I know God. That's how God wanted it. Because otherwise things would have been much different. But anyway, I birthed in and out of the pool, and I ate a little bit, and I was listening to my worship music, and at about 5 o'clock, I see on the notes now, I was still about 6 centimeters, and I was about 6 centimeters at about 1 o'clock also. So things weren't really progressing as they should. And then we decided to try something before we need to transfer. We're going to try to, my midwife felt something that she thinks is like a septum, So she decided to, during my contractions, just see whether she could just get that to the side if baby would maybe descend more. And I was fine with that. I trust her with everything. It didn't hurt me at all. In fact, we laughed throughout everything. We were like joking around, and shame, her poor hand was cramping later on. But that helped. Baby did definitely descend a little bit because of that. And I slept a lot of times also in between my contractions. I slept, woke up for a contraction, did my breathing, and slept again. And so we went on, but at about 9 o'clock that night, my midwife said, she made the final call. She said, no, we are going to transfer so that they can maybe give me a little bit of help, because this baby isn't, coming out. It's been long. Everything is fine. My heart rate is fine. Baby's heart rate is fine. But she's very on the safe side. And I was shattered. And her notes actually said that. Marilee is shattered. And while they were packing my things, because I didn't have anything ready, the doula actually said to me, but listen, if this needs to be a C-section, God will also be there with you. And I said to her, no, you don't understand. God told me it's not a C-section. So it was almost as if in that moment I was fighting with the enemy. I was saying, listen, not to her, like the enemy trying to put thoughts in my head, like, oh, now it's going to be a C-section. All of this hours you did for nothing, and I was like, no, this is not going to be a C-section. I'm not going to have that. And I begged God just to come and take baby out. I needed baby to be born. And you know what happened? I threw up a little bit, but that was transition in that bathroom. So when I threw up a bit, my head, because of everything I learned, went, listen, you learned that a surge of adrenaline at the end of labor brings baby faster. Adrenaline came because I didn't want a C-section, and it pushed me into that transition. Okay, now I was thinking this on all fours in the bathroom, like, oh my word, I think this is the adrenaline. This is the forceps. When the doctor brings out the forceps, the baby is born, you know that? This is what it is. And but I didn't say anything. And also, sometimes in hindsight, I think that I should have maybe said to my midwife that I was nauseous, or that I threw up a bit, because maybe she would have then thought, wait, let's just see what's going on, But she came and took me by the arm, and we went to the car. It took about 3 contractions to the car. It was coming on now, very on top of each other, and it was bringing me to my knees, and I was growling. And in the car, I was on all fours in the back of the bakkie, like on the back seat, on all fours, facing the window. And she was sitting by the feet part on the passenger side, like holding my perineum. Okay, it's dark. My husband is speeding, and he's like, do you need light? And she's like, no, I don't want to see anything. And she was praying, and she was just supporting my perineum. And I said to her, the head is coming, okay? Because I could feel now everything is opening up, something, definitely this baby is coming. And I felt like there's something there.
It's not painful, but it's like this enormous, it's like
pressure.
This uncomfortable pressure, you just want to maneuver it out.
Yes. And I said the head is coming, and she said nothing. She just kept quiet. And then I felt the burn. Okay, so this is now almost 10 minutes on the road, and I felt the burn, and I knew this is the ring of fire. We are here now. We have arrived. This is going to happen. And I said, it's burning. and I still wanted to make a joke because of another labor my midwife did, where the lady said, it's burning. And then the baby came out, and it was like a 4.5 kilos baby, and she just said, it's burning. And I was like, it's burning. And she, you know what my midwife said? Don't push. And I'm like, my body is pushing, And she said, do, and I went, and then my body went like, oh, And I remember also in my training that I did, the lady said, when the time comes, you do what you need to do to get the baby out. Whether you need to roar your baby out or breathe your baby out or whatever you need to do, you do that. So I roared like a lion. My poor husband's ears, I roared and I said, the head is coming, and my midwife was just sitting there saying nothing, and her watch was saying, your heart rate is too high, giving her alerts, so it was intense. I wasn't scared at all. I just need to say that. Never in this whole process was I ever afraid. Anything I was afraid of was only the C-section, okay? So this whole thing, I was feeling fine and in control. And yes, and then I felt a release, and I said, is the head out? And that is where she said, this baby is Breech. And the moment she said that, I completely relaxed, because I knew of all the times we spoke of Breech babies that my midwife, even though she's never caught a Breech before, knew exactly what to do. You know what she did? She's amazing. She literally came onto the seat, because she was sitting now on the ground. So when she saw the baby's bum, coming, she literally came onto the seat to put her thigh, in between my legs, so that the baby's feet would fall onto her thigh, because she knew that a Breech baby is hands off. If you touch a Breech baby, you stimulate them and they do this and they get stuck. They tilt their head back and they get stuck. But if you let the feet touch something, the ground or a cushion or whatever it might be, it stimulates them in a way to make their heads tilt to the front, tuck their chins in, and then they can come out easier. So it was bum, not long after that, like split seconds after that, with her leg in between mine, the feet came onto her leg, and then baby's arms came and the head came. It was within one contraction. We never had a baby hanging there doing tummy crunches like most breeches do. When she said Breech, my body just went. I had a split second to breathe in. I went, and then boom, came out the rest of my baby. And yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, I have me all teared up now. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, and when she was out, that moments before she was born, I was just calling on the Lord, and I said, Lord, please come and take my baby out now. It's time. I'm not getting a C-section. I never said I don't want it. I said I'm not going to get it. This is not your plan. The C-section is not your plan. And baby got out, and my midwife said to me, I can remember it still, take off your top. and I'm like, wait, where's the cord? And
yeah.
And my husband also, she said to him, you can slow down now.
And he was still speeding.
And the doula that was behind us in her car, the moment the car slowed down, she knew, baby's out. And I said, you know what? The training kicked in hard, because you know what I said to my husband the moment? Okay, she gave me my baby, because baby took a moment to breathe, or not, to cry, or to show us that she's now, fine. She wasn't like limp or anything, but she took a moment to catch her breath. And my midwife was just saying, come on, baby. And then she said, come, put the baby on your chest and speak to her. And I spoke to her, and I still didn't know what it was, though. I was just like, this looks like Anzulay.
And he's stuck in the car.
Yeah. And I said, it's okay, baby. And she's like, speak slowly. And I spoke to her, and I said, it's okay. You're fine. Oh, well done. We did it. And then we took the little legs to see what it was. And the midwife and I, we looked at each other like with a smile, like, oh my word, it's a girl. And you know what I said to my husband? The training again kicked in, and I said, can you please put on the heater? Because I need to stay warm. Because I know that after baby's born, if I get cold, I can shiver, and you put on the heater. And then you know what I said? Can we please turn around now? And this point in the whole labor process, everything after that, I've been mourning actually a little bit about, because I think we should have turned around, because I was fine, baby was fine, but because it was dark, the blood and things, it looked like more than it actually was. And my midwife just said, we are halfway there. Let's just go and check you out. In hindsight, both her and me, we said, we should have actually just went home. But we didn't know that I would be abused in the way that I actually was. So this is where the not so great part is. Getting to the hospital, most people was fine, and they were like, "Oh, congratulations, mommy." But they really interrogated me, like, "Oh, who's your gynae?" And the whole thing. Just to give a bit of info, the person that helped me there I also went to him to ask him to be a backup gynae. But he told me that home births are illegal in South Africa. My baby will die. And do I want to be one of the, I don't know how much, 2% or something, he said, of women who birth babies that dies? Do I want to bleed to death and rupture? He gave me all of that things. And I and my husband, we just decided if we need to go to that hospital where he is in any way the stand-in gynae, then it will. That's how it's going to work out. I didn't go to him again. So unfortunately, I knew now that I'm going to have to face this man.
And I just want to quickly go back to so during your birth or your pregnancy with Talia, you saw that one gynae in the beginning.
Yes, and then I
started seeing the midwife and never again a gynecologist.
I saw that one gynae twice, that lady, and I saw him that I thought to ask to be my
your
backup. I saw him once. He said all of those things. I cried for a week after that. And we just decided that we are not going to go back to him. And if he needs to help us, we're paying our medical aids. If we need to go to hospital, we're going to have to be helped in anyways. My husband only called the hospital and he asked them what happens if we need to go to the hospital during my birth. And they said, when is the C-section booked for? And he said, no, you don't understand. We are, my wife will be giving birth in December somewhere, but if we need you, then what can we do? And he just said, no, sir, you just call us beforehand and you can just come to us, and then basically we're going to have to help her. We have a gynae on standby. And that's how it was. My husband called them twice to make sure about this. And yeah, Baba. Yes, she is. Hello. Hello. And that's what we did. We called them when we were on our way. And yeah, we went, and he was there, and he was really abusive, telling me that my baby is only alive. What did he say? I can be glad she's alive, and she's not alive because of me, but in spite of me and what I did. At the hospital, my husband actually at one stage said to this person, if you go, you can stop being nasty now, and otherwise I'm going to report you. And what happened also, I was really high because of all the hormones, like and I just decided, you are not going to steal my golden hour with my baby. And he was still saying things to me, and he was really rough. He worked very rough with me. I asked him to be gentle, and I needed to actually say to him that, I had a bad experience as a teenager, and that's why I'm very sensitive. You need to be slow down now. You are hurting me. And you know what he said the whole time? Okay, then I'm just gonna have to put you under like anesthesia, and then I'm gonna have to and so he was scaring me into staying quiet, and he was still abusing me, saying things, and I looked away from him. He was still continuing, and I looked at the baby Talia, and I started to sing, and I sang "Ja, alleen is goed," and I sang that whole song through. Ja, alleen is goed. Because you know what, I just thought that I am not going to let this man steal this time I have with her, this golden hour. They wanted to take her from me quite soon, and I said, listen, no. They also wanted to clamp the cord the moment we got in there, and I said, no, I'm doing delayed cord clamping. And I can say with, I'm very glad to say that her cord was on for about an hour and 15 minutes. It could be a bit more even. They were very irritated with me because of that. The nurse told me, why do you want to do that? And I said to her, so that all her blood can go back into her body. No, but you only need like 5 minutes. And and I was just like, oh, I didn't, I was really not wanting to, inform them of
You're
anything because
you were on such a high, and all of those feel good hormones were pumping through you, and then you walk into this environment and into this room full of negative, unsupportive people.
The lines then, and so that was one thing about the delayed cord clamping. And I also, they, wanted to take her, and I said, no, listen, she's still drinking. Literally in the car, 5 minutes after she was born, she latched, so she was drinking the whole time, like on and off, sleeping a bit, drinking a bit, looking at me. And then you know what they did? They tested her sugar. Eventually they took her. This nurse didn't even ask me whether my husband would want to cut the cord. She just came and cut the cord off, like it was nothing. Things like that, this I needed to work through afterwards. It's traumatic. They took her from me, and I didn't. I called my husband in and said, just keep an eye on her, because there's also other things that we wanted to make sure of, that they don't do. And they tested her sugar, and they said, no, she needs to have formula. And I was like, but why? And I called my husband close, and I'm like, they say she needs formula. And you know what? That's the only thing where I couldn't think fast enough. I should have said to them, they can take some of my colostrum in a spoon. But, and I should have actually called my midwife in, because she came in with me. We just said that she's family. And the gynecologist, he saw her in the hallway, and he said to her, is jy die verlosser? And she's English, and she thought, what, what, am I Christ? No, she looked at him, and my husband who is he never really thinks on his feet like that. He's like, nee, sy's die ontvanger. and you know what, and she said to him, and you know what, it was epic. So, and he didn't like that very much. So they gave her a little bit of formula, and she had quite she was a bit, she cried quite a bit that first night. And I think that was definitely cramps and things because of that formula. It was difficult for me to get over that, because I know that they could have just took my colostrum. I mean, I started harvesting colostrum before Talia's birth. So I had a whole fridge full of it at home, so it's not like I wouldn't have been able to put some in a spoon for them. But I think they felt, just to spite me, they needed to do that. But anyway, so I slept there that night, because they didn't want me to go, because he wanted to observe me the next morning. And by 12 o'clock, I was on my way home again. So it was a quick stay. But I still work through that. I really, it's something that I think there was a little bit of, they stole a little bit from me, that precious time in the beginning, that in sitting in your own bed, having a cup of tea with my daughter Ansoleil and my husband and my midwife, everybody just being so happy, and I still fantasize about that, but I will get over it. I think my husband told me I needed to go into the lion's den to show them a little bit of my heart and my faith. And I think partly that is definitely true. And I wanted to share something else with you. This is something that a friend of mine, it's actually not, it's a colleague of mine. I don't know her very well. We do the same business. And she sent me something, and she said, listen, I read your story about Talia's birth, and at first I said she was born 18 minutes past 9, but then later I said 19 minutes past 9, because I thought it was 18, and then it turned out it was 19 minutes past. But anyway, so she said she went and looked in the Bible, because she just felt that there was something that she needed to say to me. She didn't know why, but she sent me this. She said, Luke 21, that's now 9 o'clock, 2100 hours, 18, verse 18 and 19. The Passion Translation says, but don't worry, my grace will never desert you or depart from your life. And by standing firm with patient endurance, you will find your soul's deliverance. How amazing is that? Huh?
Ooh. So beautiful. You have me crying all the time today.
But listen here, it gets even better. She said to me this, and this helped me a lot to heal. And this is how God sends people on our paths, just to help us work through things. She said to me, I believe Talia is a baby of healing. And this is what I said from the beginning. She'll be my healing baby. I'm going to take back my right. The thing that the enemy stole from me, my right to birth my own baby, I'm going to take back with this baby. And if I do that, I said that then my baby Talia and my Ansule, they will all be able to birth their babies the way God intended them to do, because it's a curse that I'm breaking with this birth. And she said, Talia is a baby of healing. She has brought a deeper knowing of your Father's heart and a healing to layers of soul that needed to be reminded of your own daughter identity. Huh? I mean, this is, and she said, yeah, I'm so sorry. And I want to say this to all moms that had a bad experience with birth, and something was stolen from you. You feel you are mourning something. I want to say this also to you. She said, yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that you did not get the experience you wanted in the end, and that's okay to mourn. And perhaps that is just it. When we surrender our will to God, we place resistance on the flow when we are searching for an experience, because I said to her, I wanted to be at home. And she said, home is what you carry inside of you. You are the experience. Your conversation with God during pregnancy, your worshiping when holding Talia. Perhaps someone needed to experience God that does not quite know him through your unplanned experience. You became that vessel and were in purpose for the King. Huh? And then the Passion Translation, this is also something I saved after Talia's birth. Romans 8 verse 28. So we are convinced that every detail of our lives is continually woven together to fit into God's perfect plan of bringing good into our lives. For we are his lovers who have been called to fulfill his designed purpose. And I sent this to my midwife when she was struggling a bit with our decision to not turn around. So I hope this means something to someone. I still cry, but that's the way we heal. We need to mourn things that were stolen from us, but the main thing is that the curse is broken now. And I actually don't mind having another baby. That's another thing. My midwife said to me, listen, if you get pregnant again, it most probably will be a breech, but it's okay. I know you know how to do that, so I will be there.
Oh, wonderful. It is so nice also to hear about midwives who are willing to take on those, I don't want to call it is probably more risky births, but other versions of natural.
That's perfect what you said. It's just a different variant of normal. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, when I heard that you were pregnant, because I actually so to the listeners, I didn't know Marilee. Marilee bought a cat from my mother, and that's how my mother told me. So this lady, she came to get a cat, or you didn't buy the cat. My mother gave the cats away, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So Marilee, she's pregnant and she's hoping for a natural birth. Here's her number. Maybe you should talk to her, because then I just launched Birth Serenity then. And I've asked Marilee if she wanted to join, and she said no, that she already, bought other programs, and she's just going to continue with that now. And I said to her, no, wait, let me send you the audios at least, and then you can listen to that. And I think we spoke a little bit about the breathing techniques as well.
Yes.
So I just want to...
And you know what? I am proud to say that during my labor, the 18 hours of labor, I kept doing the right breathing with every single contraction. There is not one contraction where I didn't breathe correctly. And my husband said he thought later on I'm going to pass out or something because I'm breathing so deeply. And I never felt faint or anything. So it just shows you how that breathing is just something that really carries you through. It's just amazing. And even a day after the birth, I would sometimes go like, oh yeah, no, I don't have to do this.
Became habit in 18 hours.
I even used that breathing when I birthed the placenta. That's the other thing. They wanted to give me a shot, They came with this thing. I'm like, whoa, stop. What is this now? No, it's for you to birth the placenta. I said, listen, my baby was just born. Give me a few minutes. My placenta will be born. Thank you. And then 20 minutes later, boom, there's my placenta came out, But there wasn't even, if I didn't stop them, they would have just done this to me. And this is one thing I need to say to moms is, your body, you need to give them permission. They need to ask you permission, and they need to inform you of the pros and cons before they put anything into your body. And so little people know this. They just blindly trust. If they gave me that shot, it might have had side effects with my milk and everything like that. So no, it's important to know your stuff. So when you get pregnant, start researching and get the right facts, so that and stay in control.
You cannot advocate for yourself if you're not informed. And that's what I also say to mothers, like, I can bring you to the water, I can give you all the information, but if you are not going to stand up for yourself and grow a pair in that birthing room and speak up, then there's no use in doing this.
And also remember, when you are in that bubble while you are birthing, there comes a point where you can't really speak up for yourself. And that's why having someone like a doula is super important, or a husband then that is very informed, that can advocate for you and say, no, she does not want that. So it's important to prepare in a way that we know what we can and cannot do.
Okay. Marilee, thank you so very much for taking the time. And Talia is
pleasure.
Beautiful. It's so nice to see her there. She's happy. She's has she turned 1 already?
No, she's turning 1 the 6th of December.
Yeah, you said in
December. Yeah, she's almost 10 months.
Okay, so all the mothers out there, you're right there on the screen, you can see proof that this is possible. And I wish and hope this for each and every mother listening to this and hoping for a natural birth and a beautiful pregnancy.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you have a breech baby, don't lose hope. Go and there's a lot of Facebook pages and Instagram pages and a lot of resources out there about breech births. And I watch almost every day. I watch a breech birth video, and I'm so desensitized for it now. That I would be surprised if I have a baby head down. It would be something new to me. So breech births, it's just a variation of normal. And if you go and research it, you'll feel much better looking at the odds.
Okay. Thank you, Marilee. I hope you have a lovely day.
You too. Thank you.
Are you pregnant, hoping for a smooth, calm, beautiful natural birth? Let us help you with that. In the Birth Serenity antenatal program, we focus on natural birth and would be honored to help and support you to prepare yourself in the best possible way, both mentally and physically, for your birth. Our aim is to help you find peace and accept your birth, whichever way it turns out. For more information, go to birthserenity.com.